Thank you for joining us today as we get ready to face NIU on Friday. Go ahead and begin with the opening statement from Coach Carney and then open to questions.
Yeah, appreciate everybody being here. Disappointing loss to wrap up the 2025 season, the home season here at Dick Stadium. Guys tried their best to send those seniors out, the right way. Those guys have done a lot for this program and are a large reason why we're going in such a positive direction right now. The loss obviously ends conference championship conversations and bowl eligibility and all those things. I'm excited for the game week. We're going to find out a lot about our locker room and I know the guys are still together and fighting and want to put the season to bed the right way. So looking forward to the challenge at NIU. Really, really good team, really physical team. Big, strong dudes. They'll be excited to close out their season the right way, I'm sure, and get on their way to a different conference. But excited for the final opportunity of the season.
Rob?
Coach, can you talk about the running game with Gavin Garcia? He seemed to have one of his better games, and seemed like you were finally able to kind of get him into a rhythm. I know sometimes it's hard to get the guys the amount of touches they probably want or you want them to have. How important was that on the other night against Central?
Yeah, I thought Gav ran extremely hard. I told him that leaving the field Wednesday night. He's an unbelievable effort guy at all times. In whatever it is he does, he is as passionate a person as I've been around. I know we know what we're going to get from Gavin Garcia every time we go out there. The challenge has been offensively to maintain and sustain drives. Time in, time out, we put ourselves behind the sticks in some of those, tightly contested games and, just offensively haven't been able to find a consistent rhythm all the time. I think, there were 64 plays or something like that in the game. If you look at the last 3 or 4 for us, we've been around, that number. We've got to be better offensively in our efficiency.
Coach, their defensive line put a lot of pressure on Drew. Did they do anything special? Did they surprise you how good they were up front? How big of a factor was that the other night?
No, a huge factor. I think their pass rush affected him. They got a really, really, really good player, 97. As good as we've seen all year. And we've seen some really, really good ones. I think he's an NFL guy, in my opinion. He'll be a really good player. 12, their linebacker, when he pressured, he did a really good job and was very physical at the point of attack in the run game. And ran the ball down a couple times. But at 97, he's a difference maker. 98 was a big guy in there. They had another guy off the edge, 85, I think it was. Those edge pass rushers are, they can be tough to deal with, and they certainly were Wednesday night.
Your defense played really well in the middle 2 quarters after a tough start. Did you do anything differently, or was that just, an effort thing or kind of getting used to what Central was doing? Why were you able to kind of get it turned around defensively?
No, I think, in most football games, you obviously go in with a plan, right, of, hey, this is how we think they'll attack us. This is how we're going to try to attack them. And the first series or 2 sometimes, you're still figuring that out. Is what we thought they were going to do, is that what they're doing? And, I thought the first drive for them offensively was a little bit of that, a little bit of us, adjusting our plan to, what they had, what they were doing. Knew it was going to be a big, quarterback run, type of attack in short yardage situations, and they were able to get themselves into some, third and mediums, third and longs that didn't quite convert, but they're in a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 situation, and they did a good job executing in those situations. The second TD drive was a turnover in their territory, which it's tough to put your defense in that position. I thought they did a good job. In all situations. Again, just came down to a short yardage situation. There's a lot of bodies in there, and the guy found a way through. Challenged our run fits. We talked about that going into the week, about how they like to create extra gaps, and challenged our consistency in fitting those. I think they found a sliver here or there. But we adjusted well. We've got really good coaches. We've got really guys that love playing football and play football hard and do it the right way. Just too many mistakes in offensively there at the that critical turnover cost us, ultimately.
Moving on to Northern, watching them the other night with their game with Western, they run the ball an awful lot, at least try to. Are they going to be similar to prepare for, like Central's offense was, or does that help you that you just played Central, going to Northern on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I think what helps us is the last 4 or 5 games, that we've played in conference is, Ball State is a run the ball at your team. Bowling Green was a run the ball at your team. I think our conference is built that way, and it's a challenge week in, week out. They're a physical group, just like the teams we've had before them. I think we're a really physical group. Our guys play really, really hard. It'll be an exciting matchup, but I know our guys will be ready. And football on and around Thanksgiving special. So.
Coach, my last one for you. I know you alluded to it a little bit, but can you talk about being together the final time with this group? Your first group as the head coach, and your final time with them. How important it is to finish strong, and are you a little worried or concerned about the focus or motivation for this last game and how you try to approach that?
No, I think you've got to address it, right? You can't just let it go as if it's not there. We talked about it as a team this morning. We're excited to get on that bus and go play. This is a special group. This is a special locker room. They've been through a lot together. There's been a lot of emotion through a lot of different things throughout the course of the year, and vulnerability, vulnerable moments. This is a close-knit team, and we're gonna do it the right way.
Coach, good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it.